The innocence of a child is one of the most protected and morally valued concepts in our society. We fight to preserve the small shred of bliss and happiness they experience early on in their lives. But who are we fighting against? The amount of violence depicted on various forms of media, such as in movies, TV shows, video games, and even in news channel stations, can be simultaneously linked to the rising number in childhood aggression. The following data will illustrate the causal relationship between media violence and aggressive behavior in children, and will hopefully encourage you as the parents to monitor, if not restrict, the amount of media exposure your children have on a daily basis. Today, I will discuss the prominence of television violence in America, the negative impact it is having on your children's behavior, and provide a few suggestions to hopefully keep your children from steering down the wrong path. Almost everyone today has a television. Television has become a highly projecting concept of the daily American life. And with that being said, it is hard to keep your children away from it. From an article written by the Committee on Public Education, we learn that the average child spends 3 hours a day watching television. And this time doesn't even include the time they play video games. In this article, a study is included by the Nielsen Media Research Team. And they determined that over 32% of children from ages 2 to 7 had a television in their room, and over 65% of children from ages 8 to 18 had one. Furthermore, the recently completed 3-year national television study concluded that over 2/3 of programs on television today contain violence. And in this statistic, they included TV shows that were supposed to be for children. During my research, I came across an opposing view by Dr. Cheryl Olson and the research team at Massachusetts General Hospital. They determined that there is a correlation between children who play violent video games and also demonstrating aggressive behavior, such as physical violence. However, they said it was only in a small percentage of the actual children, and that there was no true link between media violence and childhood aggression. If Dr. Olson was correct, how do you explain the abundance of statistical data and research that illustrates a causal relationship between the two? Children viewing violent TV shows and movies, their personification with aggressive same-sex characters, and their perception that real life is just like TV life are all forecasters to aggressive behavior. The results from a longitudinal study by the University of Michigan, where they examined 557 children from ages 6 to 10, concluded that men who were high TV violence viewers as children were more likely to push, shove, or grab their spouses, were more likely to handle an insult by going to an aggressive manner, or also to have been convicted of a crime. The same study also found that women who were high TV violence viewers as children were more likely to respond to an insult by a violent manner, such as punching, beating, or even choking a person. And this statistic was at 4 times more than the non-TV watching women. Too much television can cause our children to become immune or even numb to the horrors of violence, especially in the real world. Children are less likely to be able to separate the real world from the fantasy world, and as a result, act in aggressive manners sometimes. Even when, for example, when you watch a child at a playground pretending to be their favorite superhero, the ending result usually ends with them battling the villain in an aggressive, violent manner. Examples such as this can show us that television truly does affect the perception of our children, because their minds are not truly fully mentally developed at these ages. There is, however, no reason to become discouraged with the fight against media violence, because there's a lot of things you can do as a parent. There will be times you cannot control necessarily what your children watch on television. However, when they watch something that does upset them or is violent, be sure to help them through the transition. Talking to your child is the key to resolving their fears and concerns and helping them draw a line between reality and fantasy. You also can take the advice from the 15-year study by the American Psychological Association. And they suggest that parental co-viewing, as well as commentary on programs while you watch with your children, will help reduce the effects that TV violence has on them. So you have heard a large amount of data that will hopefully pique some rationality about the amount of media violence our children are exposed to on a daily basis. There is no reason to cut out television in your lives completely, but rather aim to reduce, if not to eliminate, the violent and explicit material for the benefit of your child's development. It is up to you as the parents to guide your children down the right pathway so that they can become a reflection of moral value in our society.